what is cryptography. So cryptography is again one of the important aspects which is used in the blockchain network. So cryptography is the mechanism of encryption of data so that the data is read or should be known to the intended parties only, because when you try to keep the data uh, move from one point to another without being encrypted, anyone can do the eavesdropping on the data. So encryption helps you to ensure that only the intended parties are able to read through those data. So how you do it is there is a plain text, and then you use the cryptographic keys, and those cryptographic keys can be a symmetric key or it can be asymmetric key. So once those plain text pass through those symmetric key, there is a cipher text which come across. And if you have to do the decryption of that, the cipher text, once it get combined with the symmetric key again, it will result into the plain text. So as we say, encryption is a process of encoding a message or information in such a way that only the authorized people, authorized parties, they should be able to access it, and the unauthorized folks, they cannot or they are not allowed to see that information. So encryption, as we call, is of two types. There is a symmetric encryption and there is a asymmetric encryption. So these are the two types of encryptions, and cryptography, as we call, is the mechanism of encryption of data so that the data can be secure. So that's in a nutshell what is cryptography. And for having the data secured, you try to use encryption as one of the mechanism for it. And then encryption can be of two types, which we already discussed as a symmetric and asymmetric encryption. So now what is asymmetric encryption? So asymmetrical encryption is also known as a public key encryption. So in the asymmetrical encryption, every party, as so we'll try to look into deeper of the asymmetric encryption, why it is called the public key encryption, because as we see, every party, they basically generate two keys. One is the private key that is needed to be kept secret, and the public key is known to everyone. So if you look for the encryption, you any party should have two keys. The private key has to be with the individual, that cannot be shared, that cannot be disclosed, but the public key is basically known to everyone. So let's try to take it with the help of an example. So when there are two individuals, one is Alice, second is Bob. So when Alice needs to send a confidential message to Bob, she basically uses a mathematical formula that encrypts the message using her private key and Bob's public key. So when Bob receives this message, he can certainly decrypt this message using his private key and Alice's public key. And by this mechanism, the data can flow in a secured manner over the network. So there is a separate entity which is called the certifying authority, which basically acts as a intermediate who is responsible for delivering these public key of someone to anyone else or everyone else that basically ask for it. So it is the responsibility of the certificate authority or certifying authority to share the public key of everyone in the network. So that's how the public keys are distributed to everyone as a part of the network. So there is a wider role which is played by certificate authority in this case. So that's called the asymmetric encryption, which is also called as a public key encryption as we see it. The next, as we look, is see, blockchain basically uses the asymmetric encryption to secure the messages from one address to another. In case of blockchain, most of the time people use asymmetric encryption, and if a message is encrypted such as the transfer of cryptocurrencies with the private key. It can only be decrypted by the matching public key. So that's how blockchain network uses the asymmetric encryption for transfer of the value which is in form of the cryptocurrency. So your private keys are used to digitally sign the transactions and generate the public keys as well. Your public keys are used as an identity to prove that the transaction is signed and the sender is the owner of that token. So with the combination of private and public key, you can send the data, you can send the bitcoins, you can send the value, you can send the cryptocurrency to the respective individual. So your combination of private and public key helps you to carry out that task. So now how the cryptography is basically used in a blockchain, right? So as we see, cryptocurrency is basically a type of digital cash, and it is a bearing instrument which is identified as a value between two entities or two parties. So using the cryptocurrency, so cryptocurrency as we call was developed by say Satoshi Nakamoto or someone earlier. So it was basically a mechanism to prevent the holder of the digital currency from sending it to more than one party. So you cannot send a digital currency to more than one party. So that solves the purpose of double spending. That solves the problem of double spending. So this is often referred as a preventing the double spending. So you can only send the digital currency to one person. You cannot send it to the multiple parties. That can only be sent to the one party. So your network basically collaboratively work to prevent the double spending, and it operates in such a way, in such a manner that the network works for the file sharing. So it's a basic fundamental uh, ability of the network which avoids a double spending, and it helps you to operate in a way which helps you to do file sharing or the sharing of the currency or cryptocurrency in a more trusted manner. So every peer in the network has a list with all the network's transactions, and the peers can check all the new transactions to make sure that they are valid and that there is no attempt to double spend the cryptocurrency. So any falsification of the record, any falsification of uh, cryptocurrency spend can be caught across in the network, because all the nodes have the list of all the transactions which are valid in the system. So that's how your cryptography is used in the blockchain network.